Hello and welcome to the Dankest Dungeon, and welcome to Commander Time, the place where we paint magic cards to be Adventure Time themed. And today we're going to be painting Sublime Epiphany, Archmage's Charm, and Disallow, in that order. Let's get to it. First up is Sublime Epiphany. We're going to paint Magic Man on this bad boy. And I want to thank the user MTG Hermit for making the suggestion in the last episode when I previewed these cards. I think the fit of Magic Man on the Epiphany is just perfect.
Magic! Away!
Magic Man's known for doing all sorts of dastardly, mischievous magic that frankly annoys people. And that's kind of the feeling that I hope my opponents get when I use every trigger on this card at once. Let's take a look at the card. What does a Sublime Epiphany look like in game? So 6 mana, 2 blue and 4 colorless. Not the cheapest mana cost, but I'm running a Golos ramp deck here, so mana usually isn't a problem. Choose one or more. First choice, counter target spell. So 6 mana is pretty pricey for a counter spell, but wait, there's more. Option 2. Counter target activated or triggered ability. I like this option a bunch. In my experience, players often won't see this sort of thing coming, and countering a clutch activation has swung many a games for me. Side note, you usually won't be able to choose both the first and second option on this card, as it's very rare that a spell you want to counter will be on the stack, while another triggered or activated ability goes off at the same time. Just something to be aware of. The third option is to return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, a nice tempo swing when added on top of the previous options. And the fourth option is to create a token copy of a creature you control. If you can align the stars and counter something, return a permanent, and duplicate one of your own creatures, you're well on the way to Value City. And the final, fifth option, target player draws a card. So not only does Sublime Epiphany do steps 1 through 4, it also replaces itself with a card draw. Beautiful. Back to the painting here, we're almost done. I'm just adding some little magic sparks from Magic Man casting his spell. This particular image is roughly based off the episode where he turns Finn into a foot.
This day, a magical life lesson comes to you.
No, change me back!
Not until you appreciate what a jerk I am. Wazoo!
And there's 1 down, 2 to go.
I wish I'd never been nice to you, because you're just a big jerk!
Oh yes, that's it! You finally learned your lesson. And now I am off to spread my teachings to more sissy do-gooders. You're welcome.
Next up, Archmage's Charm. Is Ice King an Archmage? I'm not sure, but he wears this sick piece of jewelry, the demonic wishing eye, underneath his beard, and I think it fits the bill for this painting.
I'll use my demonic wishing eye!
This card is similar to Sublime Epiphany as it's a counterspell with options. But for the charm, you're only able to choose one option, not mix and match as you please. It costs half as much to cast though, so it's all good. The mana cost itself is 3 blue, which makes it quite hard to cast in most decks. But as my deck is primarily blue, and I almost always cast Golos to tutor up the World Tree, love that card, I can almost always cast it. Almost. The options on this one are to counter a spell, have a player draw 2 cards, I assume that would be you most of the time, drawing 2 cards, or gain control of target non-land permanent that costs 1 or less. I almost always use the first two options, but the third one can be pretty saucy if an opponent has a Soul Ring, land tax, or mana crypt, something like that in play. Yoink! Time to add some more detail to the piece. I'm going to be going through and adding some highlights and shadows to really give it more dimension, make it less flat, make it more interesting to look at, all that jazz. And we're moving on to outlining the piece. Can't forget those luscious lashes. And that'll do it. At this point in the video, I would like to take a few moments to shout out to our sponsor, Enchanted Candle and Bath Company. Their handcrafted product lines draw inspiration from fairy tales, fantasy, and popular culture, creating a unique collection of candles and soaps that nerds like us just can't help but love. My personal favorite scent is Fairy Garden. It's just fabulous and makes me feel fabulous, and there ain't no shame in that. Be sure to check them out at enchantedcandle.co, that is .co, not .com. Also, use promo code DANK2021 at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. Time to start our last card for the day, Disallow. Another thank you is in order here, thanks to I Am Toot, I hope that's how you pronounce that, for suggesting Lemon Grab for Disallow. This is a truly acceptable idea. Disallow kind of follows in the footsteps of the two previous cards, with more options. I love options, apparently. It lets you counter a spell, of course, but also lets you counter an activated or triggered ability instead, except for mana abilities. Like I said before on Sublime Epiphany, I'm a big fan of having this option to interact with triggers and activations. I'm sure Lemon Grab also finds many spells, triggered, and activated abilities to just be completely and utterly
Unacceptable!
Slapping some color on those pearly whites and the whites of his eyes, and then moving on to his supple yet firm lemon flesh. Slowly building up the colors layer by layer, trying not to make it too chunky. I'm actually really happy with how these three cards came out. I wasn't thrilled about the results I was getting using micron pens to outline with, so I decided to let them fall by the wayside in this episode and give lining with a brush a chance. And I'm really glad that I pushed myself to do so. And there's my wonderful lemon boy. In conclusion, here are the three cards that we started with, and here they are after I painted them. I think I'm getting better. I like these three quite a bit. Hopefully I continue to improve. That would be super neat. For the next episode of Commander Time, I think it's about time to slap some paint on some artifacts. Be sure to tune in as I alter a soul ring, a scroll rack, and a planar portal. As always, any suggestions for what Adventure Time imagery to use on these cards is greatly appreciated. You all have some awesome ideas, and it saves me from having to deplete my limited brain power. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.